Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Civil 3D and AI integration webinar. Thank you all for being here today. Okay, Edmundo, if you could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so just some housekeeping for everybody before we go ahead and get started. So all attendee lines will be muted throughout the presentation. If you do have questions throughout the presentation, please send us those in the chat box and the questions box, and we will be answering those at the very end of the presentation. So hang around for that. And the webcast will be recorded, and if you are registered to be here today, you will receive a link with that recording. You'll also be able to find that recording on our website and on our YouTube page as well. Any questions, concerns, anything of that nature, you can give us a call at 305-445-6480 or email us at info@ddscad.com. Okay, Edmundo, one more slide. Okay, so we're very excited to have Edmundo here with us today. He is an Autodesk Senior Technical Specialist, expert in all things Civil 3D, and we're very excited to have him for this very exciting presentation. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Edmundo.
Thank you very much, DDSCAD, for your invitation, for organizing it, and thank you, most importantly, to everyone attending the webinar. Okay, first things first, okay, this is a safe harbor statement. You will see things that, of course, are completely innovative, brand new, and I would say, you can even look it up on the internet. It's hardly, discussed or even presented this. So these are very innovative ideas. Please don't make any purchasing decisions based on the reliance of the presentation. Just have this in mind that this is an ongoing process. AI is so fastly developing that everything's changing by the day. So just have that in your plans, in your projects, and of course, but always be thinking about that everything's changing and no purchase should be done based on today's presentation. So this is the agenda. I'll do a brief introduction, then we'll talk about security using ChatGPT. We'll talk about ChatGPT 3.5 and 4.0. We'll also talk about the art of prompting. And then finally, we're gonna present some videos. Well, the first one is related to unlimited number of standards. The second one is quite innovative and very needed. It's the XML reporting. Anything we do in Civil 3D, if we want to report it, of course, for all Civil 3D users, you have to it creates an XML file, and then there's companies that have a very vast, completely gigantic department just dedicated to developing and creating style sheets. No more. You can easily do that with ChatGPT. We'll talk about that. Proper inlet spacing, so it's not only for roads and roadway quantities, but also for drainage. And then how is artificial intelligence going to help us correctly spacing them in preliminary design. Traffic simulation, very important. Okay, this is very important. It's part of InfraWorks. Right now, right this second, InfraWorks contains micro simulation that you can simulate all types of vehicles with very compelling feedback results once you simulate trips at peak hours with annual average daily traffics, with percentages of vehicles, with all kinds of physics, and of course traffic signals, whether they're signalized or not signalized, groups, facing, cycles, everything. It's contained in it. It gives us what? CO2, PM10s, and NOx, just vehicle emission reporting. Okay, so we'll leverage what InfraWorks currently does, and then we'll take it a step further. And then finally, if time permits, we're gonna also be presenting laser scanning and how it can automate pretty much from a simple scan to volumetrics and project management using Construction Cloud. So as far as the introduction, yes, okay, I'm gonna be focusing on ChatGPT. Yes, there is. I understand. There is Bart from Google, Gemini from Google, developed and presented, deployed yesterday. It was announced. I also understand that there's Microsoft Pilot, but you know, they maybe, and they're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong, they're awesome, but it's more into the interaction with users. ChatGPT is unrealistically uh, uh, just unrealistically better right this second than all these chatbots that are coming up or are being created. Okay, so it you can import all kinds of different data, and then from there on you can pretty much the sky's the limit. And we'll be talking, of course, work for Autodesk, how all of our AC collections can talk in any software can talk to ChatGPT, but we'll be leveraging, of course, on the AC or some of the AC products and how they can streamline data and information to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT is also able to upload all these results to the cloud if so desired. Okay, so it's very simple. You just go to OpenAI and then you log in and you register, or you log in, whichever may be the case, to start, interacting with ChatGPT. Okay, this topic always comes up. Okay, you need to be safe and responsible. Okay, it has the potential to benefit, nearly every aspect of our lives. So just use it responsible. Always be thinking when you're interacting with ChatGPT or any chatbot for that matter. You have to be intelligent, and you also have to be responsible in what you're doing. Okay, let's talk about security. This topic is very, very important. Yes, whether it's Gemini from Google, whether it's Microsoft Pilot or ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT, you have to be careful because, you know, ChatGPT uses, or any chatbot uses, all the information that you're providing to train the model. Okay, now there's securities that you can be proactive and say, ChatGPT, do not upload my data to understand and to feed your model. But still, there's some type of risk or some type of responsibility that must be addressed before you use or share important information. So just be careful. ChatGPT also has an enterprise version that you can really, this is completely secure. They're saying it, and then I would advise you to be constantly reviewing their security policies and then how you can improve all the security. But right now, if you're just in 3.50 or 4.0, you have to be careful. You have to disable, of course, that the model is going to be used for training purposes, and also, strictly saying, I've seen companies from Canada that they download their own the Chat GPT. It's within their firewall. I mean, just whatever you do, be careful. Always check your company's policy to grant permissions for running AI. You need to be very, very careful about this. Okay. Um, for example, if I'm just taking a picture of a crack on a runway, but it really, it's really not going to hurt it because anybody can, compute the volumetric for this. So think, before you use data. Okay, so there's two versions. Like I said, Google and Microsoft, they're doing a great job. But ChatGPT is right now, the way it reads data, it's incredible. It really is. And it's not only focused on the interaction between the chatbot and a person. No, it also does many more things, and that's where the true advantages, as you will be seeing, can be really demonstrated. So 3.5, you can, it's free of charge. And then, once you start interacting, this is the interface, ChatGPT 3.5. You can see that, everything that you ask, it's based on, on a trained model. So it goes to the internet or, to its own model. It learned from the internet for so many years. I think, the cutoff date was September of 2021. But, it can give you so many great things. You can even tell it, write a poem like Edgar Allan Poe, and it just writes a poem. It's beautiful. Are we interested in that? Certainly not. Okay, well, not for this. Of course, you can do all the Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts that you want, emails. It's great for doing that. But the webinar is geared towards something else. It's geared towards ChatGPT 4.0. So little internet, you will still, or little, information based on the train model. That's what I want to say. You're going to be importing your own data to resolve and provide insight using your own project files. That's where the difference is. And this is extremely innovative. So right now, if you upgrade to 4.0, then you get, that little circle with the arrow pointing to it. You get that, and that means upload, not images, upload any files. I've uploaded HTMLs, XMLs, of course, text files, Excel files. It really, really handles so very complicated file formats that you would not even believe it. So instead of, running GPT like it's the wild, wild west, no. I'm limiting and I'm saying you, GPT, are going to be my companion, and we are going to be tackling my project data. So please, no more than, well, it's outdated or, it just does this. No. 4.0, it really opens the gates because now you're limiting and say, don't run wild trying to find, answers to my questions using your model. No, you're going to use my data. And that's what it's all about. So once that circle, well, that clip inside the circle became available, then it's really, really, we can start leveraging the true power of civil engineering, right? So the art of prompt, okay, and then just one thing here, you have to understand that, anything that you type into GPT, it's called prompts, okay? And that's, you need to learn how to, write proper prompting, okay? So this is the art of prompting. You got to be clear and specific. You got to complete sentences. You have to use, periods and commas. Punctuation is paramount. You got to provide context, one question at a time, please. Don't try to do it. Although you could try, to place everything that you want in one sentence. Please help, okay? Specify the format. You would want the results in this format, or the input is in this format. Avoid leading questions. Don't be biased. Asking, responses based on your questions. Okay, again, punctuation, experiment and iterate, and please check, and verify. There's every time you use ChatGPT, there's a disclaimer that ChatGPT can make mistakes. So please, this is never, at least ChatGPT or artificial intelligence is not going to take over like everyone's estimating. No, not in the least. Especially, for civil engineering, no. It's going to, just, you have to feed it correct information so that it does the heavy lifting based on your project data. Then you as an engineer, then you have to think, okay, is this what I want? So rather than, a threat, it's not that. It's a help. It's your, great friend when you are running or, making complicated decisions. That's what I want to see, but always check, and verify anything that it gives you. So for the first video, we're going to, just be reviewing project data for unlimited project standards. Okay, so here's the video. Okay, I've got many videos, but, in the interest of time, of course, we selected the ones that, you may find very, very helpful. So here's the video, okay? And it's, from Civil 3D, taking, data to Autodesk Construction Cloud, and then ChatGPT even can read data residing in ACC. Believe it or not, that is how, you know, intelligent GPT is, or, the limits are really, really close to none whenever you can import data, okay, from, your hard drive from ACC. That's not a problem. And once, we interact, with my data, then I'm going to say, okay, now take it a step further and then grab, other rules and regulations to verify elements. Okay, so here we go. Okay, the first thing we need to do is then, if you go to Civil 3D, then of course, you've got a horizontal alignment and a vertical alignment. I create the reports just by, going to the reports formats. I create these two files. Then I'm logging into OpenAI's, I select ChatGPT, and then the first thing I'm going to do, this file for the horizontal alignment, I'm going to attach it. Look, it's an HTML. Look at this. So just, as a parenthesis, this is the content. Very well. And it even tells you, it even recognizes, how can I assist you? And then I say, I want to list all rows that start with the word radius and then a suffix to the radius and generate the table. So GP scans and extracts the radius for all horizontal curves. Notice this wasn't even exported to a text file. Okay, so it places the radius on a formatted table. Now you're going to compute, it grabs information. Like I said, 80, 90% is based on your project. You're still going to need to, request data here and there. And what do you think? What would you do, based on your model? So it's, highly interactive with, with the model, but in very limited cases, okay? Now I'm asking it, okay, now go to your model, and then from AASHTO, I need you to compute the minimum radius, and I give it, the super elevation and a friction factor. So it goes to the model, it finds, the equation for the minimum radius. It even, based on the units, it uses the correct, value for the gravity, for the acceleration due to gravity. And then, of course, it computes it. Okay, now that it computes it, so it's 1,040 and 43.83 feet. Now, this is what is awesome. It remembers, everything that was extracted. You don't need to tell it, okay, again, extract it. You don't need to say that. No. Now, you can ask GPT with this minimum radius, okay, from the values you extracted previously, I need you to compare it to the minimum radius. And then, are there any? And he said, of course, you've got problems here. So it lists them all, okay? And sorry about that. It lists them all, and it tells you exactly where the problem is, okay? These values might be unsuitable, and even tells you, of course, right? Why not? And it tells you unsuitable for the specified road conditions. Look at this. So again, it's your friend, right? It's helping. So let me continue on. As we know, every single state has its own design manual. Of course, the plan script manual, the design manual, Texas DOT. Every single state has its own, specific, or, it's a variant of the AASHTO Green Book, okay? Well, it would be nearly impossible to, to put all these different manuals in Civil 3D so that it does all the checks. No, that's not practical. So what I'm doing, I'm going to import Texas DOT's road design manual directly into ChatGPT. And once I do it, look at this. It's even pulling it from docs, like I said. It's going to read all, it's going to read and import the element. Okay, so you've loaded a doc file with these standards. Okay, I need you to scan every single page, and then I need you to tell me what the maximum super elevation rate according to the uploaded standards. This is incredible, okay? What is the maximum super elevation rate? So it goes and finds, okay, so it scans them all, and then based on that, it tells you that it should be, for that specific speed, it should be between 6% and 8%. Great. So incredible, right? It reads, these ranges from Texas DOT. Now, remember, we exported the vertical alignment, and this is the vertical alignment, the way it was created. Well, this is, from Civil 3D. Then I'm going to load this file. I'm going to load it in, as a CSV. Again, look at all the very different types of, files. So it's important to ChatGPT, and then you can say, okay, I need you to extract all the values that are not a number, that have value, all the grades that, have value. Okay, so it recognizes, from the CSV file, and then it tells you, okay, from all these values, because there's, beginning tangents that don't have grade in, and there's, the final tangent that doesn't have grade out. So that's what it means. I need, to list the grades that have, some value greater than 0. And here it is, okay? It lists all the, the grade values in your vertical alignment. Now you're going to verify that the extracted grades do not exceed the maximum grade specified in Texas DOT Standards Manual. So it reads, scans the manual, and it tells you, okay, you know what? Based on this, these are the design standards. And then it tells you, it pulls it right there, and it tells you, okay, now that I've read it from the document, it's a different request. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to check now if any of these values is, exceeds the maximum allowable grade of 6%. And okay, so is there anything else? If none of these values, or if all these grades comply with the minimum tangent grade, I need you to place it in bold. You can even say it in bold, and it places it like that. Okay, and then I need you to even generate a table. So it generates a table with all these values. It generates a table, and then furthermore, look at this. This is, the difference in chatbots. First of all, you can read all kinds of files for what we do for the engineering world. And then not only that, I need you to create your own specific, results. And then not only that, I need you to even save it as an Excel file. Easy. So it generates this Excel file, and then you can just download it. Finish working, and then download it from here. That's it. Okay. Hope you found good content. Okay, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, good. Okay, the second one, I told you, right? XML reporting made easy using GPT. Okay, so let's see, this video. Okay, good. Okay, and it's right here. Now this is, this is universal. Pretty much everyone uses it. Okay, so look at this. The complexity of nodes, the complexity of, all the contents in the nodes, all the contents in the nodes, and then, the specific syntax that must have, if you want, the traditional ways to use JavaScripting and XSL language to pull information. So from that to a very well formatted table in 2 steps, really? And then not only that, I can tell it, from the material that it's computing, I can generate a specific format to upload it to Build or to Construction Cloud, and then generate the issues. I can even generate issues from GPT. So let's take a look at what's happening. Look at this. So it doesn't matter what what you want. Whenever you compute volumes in Civil 3D, you're going to get the XML file, right? Well, might as well use it. Look at this. This is the nightmare, okay? This is the complexity. This is, short. So look at this. What we're going to be doing is translating this into something that it's readable, right? And so how do we do it? So I'm just going to upload it, and then XML, no translation, XML, road quantities.xml. So you've imported, okay? ask GPT to list all materials on XML on the XML file. They can be each, linear, area, and volume. You don't have to specify this. I'm just telling, okay, I need you to give me all the list of materials. Okay, so this is it. You could have done it in one prompt. I'm just helping it, okay? That's what I'm doing. You could do it in one prompt if you wanted to. But, first, it's great. It's my own experience to say, okay, extract, and then let's take it one step at a time. And then ask GPT to include an area and volume. So this is the material. Now I need you to tell me what is the value of area and volume for the first 10 materials. There's over 120 here. So, okay, so it's adding what? For each material, it's adding the sloped area and the volume. Beautiful. Okay, great. Look at that. So for the first 10 materials, and then ask GPT to place all values on a formatted table. Look at this. And then just specify the format. Can you imagine? 3 clicks, and it's doing this. How many times do we need our own specific format on reports? So many times, right? How many times do we need, really to, or, just do counters and, specify just very complex JavaScripting just to get one report? Look at this. And I could have easily, skipped one step. So in 2 steps, you get this. Really? Can you imagine? And of course, if you want it, you can save it, right? As an Excel file. Look at what you're doing. It's unreal. So, you're going to save it, okay? As an Excel file. Okay, now, at any point in time, you can say, okay, now we passed that. Thank you very much, GPT. I need you now to load a template. This template is the one that is delivered with Autodesk Construction Cloud, and it is used to import the assets. Okay, so you've uploaded this template. I understand. How can I assist you? So it's, and it's, okay, on the Excel file, place material under name. Type, you're telling it what to do with this, with the table. You're telling it where to place it on specific columns on a loaded template. Wow. Really incredible what it's doing. So generates from that XML file, not only the table, but you're also creating what? This Excel file that it places what it extracted from the XML. I told it, that used to be a category, and I told it to place, the status, and of course, the values that it found. I did nothing manually here. So, and then you can download, the modified Excel file, and this is, I'm opening the Excel file, and this is what it does. So once it's done, look, your imagination's the limit here. Okay, I can go to Construction Cloud, and I can go to any specific project that I want, and I can go to build or, docs, it doesn't matter. And under assets, I can do this. I can create an asset, but I can import the assets. You're going to be importing the file, Excel file created from artificial intelligence. You're going to be importing, and then it uploads it. So it uploads it and places in the assets. And then all materials and all the, the quantities are imported into build. Hope you like that as well, okay? Very well. Let's move on to the next one. Proper inlet spacing review and management. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go to inlet spacing. And there it is. Of course, this is not going to bypass that I do, my drainage, and my network analysis. No. But roadway engineers, we really don't understand very well where to place inlets. And then, well, of course, we understand that it's, the low points, of course, and super elevation transitions going through low points. But that's it. We don't have, great criteria without running, of course, analysis. So we pass it on to hydrology and hydraulics, and then they review it. Wait, what if we can, help make the drainage department do a much better assessment of the preliminary design with intelligence. So here we go. And of course, I'm using, I'm using InfraWorks. I'm using InfraWorks just to explain that, of course, there's a sag point. Everything's going to be draining to a low point at that specific location. And it's going to be draining from both sides of the road because of, the crown, of course. And then, elements have to be placed, right? Inlets to catch, the runoff. And then once that they're being caught, then you got to discharge it, right? So this is, our specific, scenario to illustrate how we can use GPT to compute so many different great things on inlets. So from InfraWorks, I take it to Civil 3D, and then I do detail road with design. Now look at this, from in Civil 3D, from the create catchment from surface, it is going to be displaying the tributaries to this low point on what? On the high side, on the low side, on one side of the road, and another side of the road. So, it computes the area. Of course, it has the runoff coefficient, and it even computes the time of concentration in Civil 3D using FAA, okay? The FAA methodology. So you've got all these elements, okay? So all these tributary areas, how many inlets do I have? I'm starting with one, right? This is what I want to assess. Okay, so I've got all the runoff going into everything. Now, enough with Civil 3D. Then I'm asking GPT to compute what? The spread on the roads? Unreal. Look at the prompt. What is the spread of water using a Q of? What it computed, of course, it is going to be what? And if I come here 1 second here, and there's going to be one inlet on each side of the road. So it's the summation of what it is, this contributing Q on the high side, contributing Q on the low side for one. And then, of course, you have to do it, for the other inlet. But, I need you to, assess what the spread is. So people, have said that, mathematics and GPT were not that accurate. That was, in 3.5. I've done it, and then always check the results or make sure they're making sense. So it computes the spread. Of course, it's, large spread. Of course, one inlet is not going to cut it. It's not going to work. But I can tell you, okay, what formula, I can tell it which formula to use, uploading, a specific, rules and regulations manual, or I can tell it, okay, which formula did you use? And look at this. So this is based on the modified Manning's equation, right? So you're going to get great results with this innovative procedure or this innovative workflow. And it's much better, to do it from an engineering standpoint of view. You don't want to do what Civil 3D is doing, of course not. And you don't want to upload, elements, just, docs. So you have to use and resolve engineering problems. Okay, and that's what you're doing. Look at the spread. Look at the spread with the modified Manning's equation. So it could have easily handled, it could have easily handled the just the normal, right, Manning's equation. No, it it is recommended, of course, for curves to use the modified Manning's equation. Great, this is what I want, and then I'm just making sure. Remember, verify, verify, verify. So verify, and then what is S sub L and S sub X, the longitudinal grade and the transverse grade. Okay, look at this beauty. Compute the velocity now using this n value, longitudinal slope at 2.33 feet per second. And look at the velocity. Again, check and verify. And it's making sense, right? If it gave you 40 feet per second, you know that something wrong. Okay, very well. Now, not only that, I want to compute the depth of water. Okay, you also need to compute the depth of water. And then using specific the Q that it was computed. You could have said easily the Q, done on the first prompt. Now I'm helping a little bit more, and then computes the Y, okay? The depth of the road, the depth of water on the road. It's 0.177 feet, okay? Good. So of course, one inlet for this huge amount of water is not going to work. Then what you can do is then place, of course, the catch inlets, close to the low point. The low point is this point, the one in the middle, and then place more and then check and check and check again. You could have done that, but of course, if only the road contributes water to the inlets, in other words, if the shape, if if the if the area that is going to be contributing water to the inlets does not change, meaning not in geometry, meaning the contributing behavior, the contributing component is constant, a road. You don't have anything else running into it or taken into account to the inlets, like what? Like slopes, like um, just parts of the grading that are being sloped towards the road, and that varies, would vary completely. If only the road is contributing to the inlets, then you can even specify, give me the proper spacing, and it's going to give you the proper spacing. I just did it the hard way so you understand that it doesn't work, and then you can automate GPT to tell me, okay, you know what? I need you to give me all the spacing based on the maximum spread, and it will give you the maximum it will give you the proper spacing to be within the allowable limits. Okay, so just be careful, of course, and then you can say ask GPT to create a downloadable Excel file with inlet results. So look at what I'm doing. I am going to be creating. I'm not going to be creating assets now so that they can be uploaded to Construction Cloud. I am going to tell it, okay, based on the spread, depth, and velocity that you computed, I need you to create a file that suits perfectly what Autodesk Construction Cloud needs to import the issues. Unreal. So GPT automatically creates an Excel file, remembering, these values, and it places the values on a specific column, and then all these elements, you can download it and use it to import it. So all these elements, you as a roadway engineer say, okay, you know what? Preliminary design told me that this is the spread, this is the velocity, and this is the depth of water based on the inlet distribution that I have. Good, but it's not there. Then if I take it to Construction Cloud, then every single member, would know. You can control, of course, based on permissions. You can control it, but look at this. If I go to build, issues, this could be also in docs, but under issues, I can import the results from drainage that I created with GPT. So it's being imported. And then once it's imported, look at what it did. It just created, these three new issues. Depth of water is this, velocity, so that everybody would know. And of course, those who can be controlled, at least the drainage department would know, saying, okay, so I need to do more. I need to do, this has already been taken care of from a preliminary standpoint of view. And then, I can assign it to specific people. You can, after a detailed analysis is done, then you can go into issues and of course, mark it as closed instead of open. This is the way you control, and organize, engineering issues. Then you can go to the schedule, and on the activity drainage network analysis, which is comprised of detailed and preliminary analysis, then you can easily say, well, I'm going to change, the percentage of completion. So from 0, 100%, and then, you upload it to Microsoft Project and everything gets uploaded. Yeah, you can also import, I'm going to need so many inlets. You can also import, using the same workflow previously described, You can create your own list of inlets and import it into assets. Everything is tied together. Okay, very well. Two more, okay? Look at this. Autodesk InfraWorks and GPT. So I am going to go to the next video, and it's this. Traffic simulation. Again, you can use this right now, and it's the hidden gem in InfraWorks. You can model traffic, but not just, like 3ds Max, which is all random and no engineering. No, you can model critical conditions, bottlenecks, anything that you want using micro simulation engineering right now, and even computing all the emissions, all the vehicle emissions. Forget even about artificial intelligence for 1 second. You can do it right this second with InfraWorks under traffic and mobility simulation. Based, if you imagine a compressible fluid, all the elements are going to be interacting amongst themselves. That's micro simulation. It generates trips, from a specific, um, um, period of time that you select. It could be any period of time, all the morning, or it could be just at the peak hour. And then it computes what? Levels of service, queues, okay, length of queues, time delays, and of course, everything on the vehicle emissions. You can do it today. So forget about the robot and sustainability. You can do it right now. Now that you know that this exists and that you can start using it, then let's talk about, something else that you can do with all these results. So if I hit, play, of course, you're going to see the simulation that you can do regardless of AI. You can do so now. Look at this. So this is InfraWorks traffic simulation. Again, these are not random cars. This is true traffic engineering, okay, micro simulation engineering, where after you compute it on each and every single intersection, you can define what? The turn lanes, right? They're critical, for the behavior. The proper behavior, of course, it's in so many different variables that are used in micro simulation engineering, but of course, it needs the lights, the traffic lights, and within them, you need what? Ambers, reds, yellows, cycles, facing, and of course, all the turning movements at the intersection. So you can say if it's signalized or not. After you run simulation, then it can tell you, and look at this, what you're missing out, okay? You have to properly plan, anything that you need, okay? Closures, rehabilitation, even so many lanes, you have to plan and understand what would happen, okay? If you're going to close lanes due to maintenance construction, you have to assess, what you're doing, and, what better way to see it than with this incredible feedback. So once you run it, and of course, it's going to give you the levels of service, which is exactly what you're after. So A, B, C, and D are going to be displayed as cyan blocks. E and F are going to be displayed as red blocks. Okay, and this is according to the highway capacity manual that it computes on these levels of service. Okay, so and it also gives you what the queue lengths and the average delays. You can do it per, the complete intersection or per every single uh, um, junction that's making the intersection. You can also, if the traffic signals have the same facing, then you can start using the traffic signal synchronization, right? Make it efficient, right? Reduce number of stops, reduce your frustration, and of course, reduce emissions. That right? You can always control and review existing conditions. Again, these are not pretty pictures. This is true traffic engineering, and of course, you can leverage it with and all the elements, and this is not even AI. This is just InfraWorks that you can do so now. But not only can you see them graphically, you can get analytical results. Right now, you can get all these kinds of results from InfraWorks. And look at this. Number of stops, CO2s, NOxs, PM10s, then the name every single element. It's not macro simulation, it's micro simulation, is defined, and it knows its origin, its destination, departing time, arriving time, the distance, the number of stops. So it gives you all this, reporting right now. And for example, a client in Canada said, "This is great, this is awesome, but I really cannot make sense out of, humongous list that because it's every car. Can you imagine?" So that's what we're going to be using our friend, right? GPT to start understanding. If you don't with GPT, if you really know what you're doing, you can get a lot of it out of it. Okay, so now we're going to be taking what exactly? All these results from InfoWorks and traffic simulation, we're going to load them into GPT to see what we can do, right? Even take it as 10 steps further. So OpenAI, I'll log in, select ChatGPT, and I'm going to be loading. Look, the Excel file created from InfoWorks traffic simulation. Look at this. I did nothing based on this. This is not, I'm telling it, GPT, don't look at your data. Do not look at your data. I need you to understand things, okay, using my data, and then plot distribution of emissions. It goes into the Excel file, and look at what it does. It plots it automatically for you. Unreal what it does, okay? And then you can say, okay, what about, I'm just going to be focusing on CO2, plot CO2 emissions by vehicle type. Okay, then it's going to take, okay, yes, the dataset contains information. Boom, it's even going to tell you, okay, medium car, large car, the vehicle type. Incredible feedback, right? Immediate feedback. Plot CO2 emissions, their entire simulation term, not only at the, at the peak hour, but the complete element. Okay, so it gives you, it tells you the behavior of CO2 throughout the entire simulation time. Okay, so this is what you want to assess. So what it's doing, it's pulling data left and right from Excel. It's not thinking, it's not using its model, it's using my data, and it tells you, okay, you know what? Yes, between what is the interval that has the highest levels? I don't even want to read. Can you read it for me? Sure. Okay, from 750 to 755, look at the grams of CO2, and it gives you the highest value during the entire simulation. Okay, very well. Powerful insight. Can you imagine? You have all these different routes, in the simulation to add them all up to come up with the top emissions route. It's going to do it automatically for you. Remember the results from InfoWorks. It had an origin and destination, so it's going to add them all up, and it's going to compare and say, okay, you know what, the origin destination pair with the highest CO2 emissions is from, and this is in Toronto, to South North, with a total CO2 emissions. So understand what does not work. That's the powerful that's what artificial intelligence, you can even look it up. That's what artificial intelligence brings to the table. What works? Identify, which is the route producing the low emissions. Great. You understand what is not working, you understand what is working. Oh, then is artificial intelligence taking over? Nothing. It's helping me, right? That's what it is. That's what we want you to get out of this webinar. How much CO2 would be saved if trucks were banned on the route that produces the highest CO2 emissions? This is approximate because, okay, I need to understand and then have an idea, and it's going to give it to you, but GPT is not going to compute, it's not going to run the simulation, but it gives me an idea so that then I can assess and say, I'm going to go back to traffic simulation and say, what, and validate it. Again, it's you, right? It's the engineer behind it, okay? So approximately, this is what it says. Okay, approximately, this is how much it would do it. Okay, if trucks were banned, oh, okay, let me go back to simulation and compute it. So it gives me a great idea to go back to simulation. Great. Another one. What if, if we used, if people commuted, right, from 7 to 8:30 a.m., I need you to give me 40% of 40% of people commuted. Okay, what would happen, for my rules and regulations? So it's going to give you an approximate value. Then you go back and then look at this, Unreal. Okay, so you're going to go back into simulation and validate all these results. Okay, plot the length of trips taken by vehicles for transportation planning, of course. And then, based on even creates a pie chart with you, okay? Distribution of journey distances, and then tells you, 23% between 0 and 1 kilometer, and 43%, have, greater than 2 miles or kilometers, depending on, the elements that you want, okay? So look at the power of, what you can really do at this point. And then for the final video, I'm just gonna run real fast, real fast on that one. And let me even say, okay, so this is the pothole. Really fast, because now you are experts in what it can do. Look at this. So you have a pothole, right? Well, okay, good. I need you to scan it, XYZ files. I need you to scan it, okay? Give me, all the elements. So I run my pothole. I've got, of course, the mesh, and I've got, the high definition picture. And then, of course, I get this no matter what, right? I have an XYZ file. Good. Well, I'm going to jump immediately here directly into GPT. No Civil 3D, no nothing on this side, okay? In GPT, what I'm going to be doing, again, look at, how versatile it is right now. This is what, stands out GPT compared to other chatbots. Directly an XYZ file, and it even tells you if it's a super elevation. It recognizes it's a laser scan. It's Unreal, okay? This type of, look at this. A file contains 3D coordinate data, points in space. It knows it's a scan file. It's really incredible. So now I'm going to use a baseline, meaning that all the elements, all the points, all the Z's are, below a 0 level, okay? Compare it to a baseline, and look at what it does. It's incredible. So for point clouds representing a pothole, the volume calculated, between these baseline, it's approximately 8.82 cubic units. Okay, now plot the points with different color intensities to understand what you did, and look at what it does. This is the solid that it creates, or the shape of the boundary of the solid that it creates. Okay, and this is the volume that it's being plotted. Okay, the 3D plot, assesses that. Okay, great. So, you've got the volumes. Now you can even go into Microsoft Project, and then you can add a new activity or new task. But not only that, you can also add the material that was computed assigned to the property test. Now you can go into Microsoft Project, and then if you go to Construction Cloud, you can upload all the images, and then, all the images that you want. And then, of course, you can go into issues saying, okay, this you can do. Okay, urgent pothole repair, and then you can add anything that you want or format GPT to give you this. And then assign the properties to an issue, who is going to be responsible. Okay, when is the due date, the starting date, all those elements. But not only that, then you can also import the Microsoft project file into build. Okay, and then, with this updated activity with, of course, the materials. And also you can, check the status on all the issues and all the tasks in Microsoft Project. I wish we had more time to show you many more things, but, we are exactly where we needed to be for the Q&A. So I'm gonna just turn it back to you, Alan.
Okay, thank you so much, Edmundo. Okay, so just in the last couple of minutes here, we were going to go ahead and look at some of the questions that came in. So one quick question that I do have here, will you be sending a recording of this presentation? And we are, if you're registered for this presentation, you will be receiving the recording usually within about an hour or two of the presentation. So I do have a lot of questions here. I'm just going to go through and do a couple here. I'm sorry if we don't get to your questions. You can go ahead and email us later at info@ddscad.com and we will get those answered for you. So here was one, Edmundo. I had previously had issues with ChatGPT computing simple math incorrectly. For example, if it may have gotten the minimum radius calculation incorrect. Is this something that you have issues with frequently?
Okay, no. Using 3.5, the answer is yes. Using 4.0, the answer is no. Okay, so that's another reason why you should upgrade to that one. No, and you remember the modified minus equation? That is super complex, right? It's got powers and then not even, you know, real numbers, speaking mathematical real numbers, but it has, you know, fraction numbers. I've checked it. So please, another, and that's what I've heard. With 3.5, you know, I've even checked it and said, you are so wrong. With 4.0, tremendous jump. Next question. Is there another question? Sorry, Alan?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Okay, can ChatGPT look at DWG files and swap layers for you? For example, ChatGPT change layer
Okay.
A to layer B.
Okay, that's a great question. I love that question. I wish, and of course, needless to say, of course, you know that I've tried it, right? Of course, you know that, that I tried it at some point. No, that's proprietary. Okay, that's proprietary. That's, that's Autodesk. So no, we can't do that. You can try using DXFs, okay, to read some content, but it's still, proprietary. Eventually, I guess, the plans are, for Autodesk to, include all this into one session or as many sessions per user, using their product. So right now I have to work around this element to get, results, but the answer, unfortunately, is no.
Okay,
Another one?
makes sense. Okay, how do you know that the data you upload to GPT 4.0 model is not used for training the model, security/confidentiality wise?
No, that's a great question. I really, you can go into the settings in ChatGPT and then even specify that, you don't want your data to train the model. Is that enough? No. No, I'll be very honest. If it's a pothole, okay, well, it's volumes, right? But still, you're training on something that's, there. But if it's confidentiality, and you really have to be careful. However, your IT department can do something about it. They really could. First of all, you got Enterprise, which is another version of ChatGPT that you can purchase. Now, if it's, too expensive because there's a minimum number of users that I guess, every company would need it. If you think about it, because now we're thinking outside of the box, we're being extremely innovative. This is hardly on the internet. Then you can tell IT, you know what? Some companies have already done this. They have access to GPT, but it's within our firewall. So verify with them. There's ways, or even security systems that guarantee that nothing's going to be, uploaded. You can also say that, and you can even mention that. But be careful. Let me be adamant about this. Be careful. Check always that it's fine.
Okay, perfect. So unfortunately, we are out of time. I know there's still a couple questions pending. Like I said, if you guys who have not had your questions answered can email us at info@ddscad.com, we can go ahead and try to get you some answers for your questions. So first of all, thank you so much to Edmundo for the awesome presentation. I think I definitely learned a few things today. Hopefully you all did as well. Be out on the lookout very shortly for a future webinar on a product called Corridor Easy for Civil 3D that we recently started representing. Corridor Easy seamlessly integrates with your existing Civil 3D software and speeds up corridor creation 10 to 20 times over Civil 3D alone. Corridor Easy expedites your design process, starting with your alignments and surfaces to create Civil 3D surfaces, profiles, X sections, assemblies, and corridors. And it allows you to get more productivity from the software and technical resources that you already have today. So that's a very exciting product. Please look out for an invitation for that webinar very soon from us. And again, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, concerns, you're interested in purchasing software, training, support, anything of that nature, please go ahead and call us at 305-445-6480 or email us at info@ddscad.com. And everybody, please have some very happy holidays and a happy new year coming up shortly. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Edmundo.
Thank you.